Thank you, Minu. I have two topics, which is first one is on soft cataracts and then on penetrating trauma. In any phaco, we are basically trying to do only two things: create segments and remove those segments. And creating segments, many techniques have been described: divide and conquer, stop and chop, and primary chop being the common three. It doesn't matter how you create those things, but once you created the segments, the technique for removing them more or less remains the same. And the challenge in soft cataracts is basically how to create those segments. If you're doing divide and conquer or stop and chop, you need to know how to do trenching and cracking. If you're doing stop and chop or primary chop, you also need to have some idea of chopping vertical or horizontal. And soft cataracts create a problem in divide and conquer by allowing for cheese firing of the instrument. And when you're trying chopping techniques, there is not enough grip, so that also requires a modification. The worst case scenario is that you end up with a complication or have to flip the whole nucleus into the anterior chamber and do non-fragmentation techniques. But divide and conquer or a mechanical horizontal chop, which is what I'm going to show and which I published in JCRS in 2013, is two of the methods that can be used for these situations. In conventional divide and conquer, we make two long trenches and you can punch through in the distal area and create a PCR. And this is because of the upcurve of the posterior capsule and the fact that the hard part of the nucleus is in the center. Once you reach the periphery, it's extremely soft. A safer modification is to do Gimbel's proximal downslope sculpting, and this is described almost 25 years ago. And this makes it very difficult to create a posterior capsule rupture there. The question is, how deep do you go? And one of my students asked me, is there a clinical indicator that would replace the experience of a good surgeon? And this is what I call as lens fiber orientation in the floor of the trench. As you do your first trench, your fibers are perpendicular to the trench and you can see cross striations. As you go a little bit deeper, you can see both cross and linear striations on the floor because you are at this depth, and this is the ideal place to do mechanical trenching at the intermediate depth trench. And as you go further deep, you can see only linear fibers. The horizontal fiber cross striations are not visible because it is vertically arranged, and you may even see a posterior Y. The mechanical chop is to impale but not use any power or vacuum and just do the horizontal movement of the second instrument followed by a lateral separating movement. I'm going to move on to a couple of videos now. So this is intermediate depth trench which we are going to go to. Golden ring is there, fairly soft cataract. Superficial epinucleus is removed. And then the primary trench, you can see the cross striations in the floor there. These cross striations indicate that it was a superficial trench. Now you can see both cross and linear striations, and this means that it is an intermediate depth trench. You just need to place it there, use a small burst of phaco or maybe just a small amount of vacuum. Make this lens stable, use the second instrument to create the lateral separating movement, and then you can proceed with the rest of the procedure. Because the difficult portion of chopping is to get the initial crack. Once you have the initial crack, you know the depth, the rest of the cracks become easy and the procedure can be very easy. What happens if it is a much softer cataract and you don't even have that much to grip? You can do divide and conquer, and your initial trenches will go through a superficial trench, then you come to a deep trench, and then as you come to a deep trench, you can see in the red glow quite nicely the posterior Y in the center of a well-centered trench. So at this point, this is the ideal point to stop trenching and start cracking. Any further trenching, increasing the depth further, is only going to help you to penetrate the posterior capsule and the anterior hyaloid face. Once you have reached this depth, it is very easy. Just gentle lateral separating movement in the center of the groove allows you to create good quadrants, complete separation, and then the rest of the steps become very, very easy. You just need to go to the periphery, pick up the fragments one by one, bring them to the center, and eat them up in the center. Both these articles were published in JCRS in 2013. They are free downloads, so those of you who are interested, please go ahead and visit the site. I move on to my next topic, which is on traumatic cataract. And I will cover this in three videos. One with corneal opening, second with anterior capsule opening, and the third one with the posterior capsule opening. Before we plan any surgery or any intervention in a traumatic cataract or penetrating injury, couple of things we need to know. Special informed consent about guarded prognosis, need for multiple interventions, and also access to other department specialties like glaucoma, retina, etc. are mandatory. The other thing is the amount of imaging you need to do. You probably will do a B-scan in mature cataracts or where there is no view of the posterior pole, but it is also necessary to get a good history of what is the foreign body, if anything, and see if you can image it by CTR, by a CT scan or a X-ray. MRIs are not a good idea in this situation. So here I have actually completed the phaco. It looked like a self-heal wound. It was about 3 months post-injury. And by the end of the surgery, before IOL implantation had been completed, that self-sealed wound had opened up. And the last bit of the surgery before IOL implantation required that wound to be sutured. So luckily this was a fairly small injury and neatly could be sutured up, and the IOL implantation and the rest of the steps went pretty easy. My next situation was when the anterior capsule was already open. You can see that it is open. Trypan blue staining shows the extent. It's a pseudo Argentina flag sign kind of situation. The intumescent fibers are soft and could be easily removed. My only problem was at this stage I did not know whether there was an extension posteriorly. I am doing a rotationalist chop like what I would do for a posterior polar cataract, and very minimal lateral separating movements. This is not the normal speed that I operate in. This is speeded up just to show the complete surgery. And at this stage, I realized that there is PCR on the inferior side. Without removing the second irrigation, I put visco, rotate the subincisional fragment using 2 Sinscrews, bring them up. Since it is pretty soft, I'm using viscoat. I know that I will not have too much of endothelial trauma even if I do a phaco in the AC. I certainly don't want any fragments to go down. I've used viscoat. Here you can see the PC rent quite nicely. It's a triangular thing on the inferior side. At this stage, I just make small nicks on the anterior capsule, make the anterior capsule a little bit more rounder. I did not want to do it in the beginning because of the intumescent nature of the lens. But at this stage, with the lens removed, I know I can do it safely without further rhexis capsule extensions. And then I proceed by putting a multi-piece lens into the sulcus and do a partial optic capture. So the haptic is going into the sulcus. Optic remains inside the whatever remains of the bag, the 2 leaflets of the bag, and I'm able to tuck the trailing haptic inside, and in this case, all's well that ends well. All these cases, probably 10% more frequent examination is required. If you're used to seeing them 3 or 4 times post-operatively, these kind of patients require maybe instead of 6 weeks, you need 6 months of follow-up at least, and much more intensive follow-up to see whether there is subsequent any posterior capsule problem, peripheral retinal problem, or secondary glaucoma. This was a laser cataract surgery. Femtosecond, this is the circle scan. I was very keen on getting a complete anterior capsule. We all are when we are doing capsular access. So I was looking over here. What I didn't see was this thing there, and I did not know the significance of that till the surgery started. Over here also you can see that initial steps of surgery seem to be going okay. This again is speeded up quite a lot. I've done a fragment pattern, but it's a little bit more sticky than usual, not for that unusual for that level of cataract. The other thing I can see is that this granular thing on the epinucleus as it is coming up, I don't know what it means at this stage. And I continue with the surgery. Things are seemingly going okay. But that granular part of the epinucleus and the sticky nature of that epinucleus, I'm wondering in my mind what is going on. Patient was a diabetic, had a history of intravitreal injection, but it did not register for me at that stage. But as I'm doing this, most of the nucleus is gone, epinucleus is being flipped out of the bag. It's a little bit sticky. I'm thinking, is it open? And I realize it is open. And it's exactly like a posterior polar cataract, a very large rip on the posterior capsule. I'm able to salvage the situation. I put viscoat, leave the irrigation inside, put viscoat, support the capsule. After the remaining epinucleus and cortex is removed, vitrectomy, and in the newer machines we have this option to do cortical aspiration as well. I am able to salvage the situation by putting a multi-piece lens into the bag. You can see the rip right across the posterior capsule. I am able to do a sulcus placement with an optic capture in this situation again and salvage the situation. So trauma can be obviously from accidents, etc. In some situations it can also be iatrogenic, and we need to be prepared for such eventualities. So that's the optic capture happening, and that was the significance. This was the intralenticular portion of the Avastin injection. Thank you.